Welcome to Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship with Ariel Shaw, MBA. We want to increase your bottom line and create generational wealth that lasts way beyond you. It's 2024, the year of reinvention and domination. Our 2024 media participants include Kenya Simmons of Kenya Simmons Real Estate and T&J Industries Development and Contracting, Monique Gibson of Our Rising Angels Personal Care Home, LLC, Demetria Winters of Black Butterfly Queens Life Coaching, Yvette Best of Best Services Unlimited, LLC, Mica Williams of Mica Williams State Farm Agency, and Alicia Williams of the Dazzling Diva Collection. Again, welcome to Women Wealth Entrepreneurship with your host, Ariel Shaw, MBA. This is Season 5. All right, and welcome to Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship. I am Ariel Shaw, founder and president of Southern Crescent Women in Business. We have the honor of having Miss Laura from the Truckers Auditor with us this morning. Hi, Laura.
Hey, good morning.
So tell everybody, what, first of all, is the Truckers Auditor?
The Truckers Auditor is a trucking compliance company that helps owner-operators and small fleet owners manage their onboarding for their drivers, help them stay in compliance with their federal filings, their annual, their quarterly filings, helping customers and clients write corrective action plans as needed. So we're just a trucking consultant specialty firm that specializes in making sure that truckers stay compliant.
All right. And Laura, tell us who are you? Like what made what made you decide to get into this space? What's your background? Tell everybody, who are you? Like, where are you from? How long have you been doing this type of work? And when did you start the Truckers Auditor?
Okay, so I'll start from where I'm from. I am from Atlanta, Georgia, from College Park. I've been in Atlanta my whole life. I'm graduated from Banneker High School. I started this trucking business because I was wanting to do dispatching. I know the trucking market has its ups and downs, so at the up moment, a lot of people were getting into the industry, and I too, took interest to the industry, and I wanted to help drivers in any way that I could. So my background is, and I have a master's degree in accounting and finance. So I'm an auditor by nature, an auditor in my everyday job. The last 17 years, I've been in audit mode. So I'm just I take to reading material and helping people understand the requirements of what's being asked of them and required of them. So that's my
Let
background.
me slow you down just a little. So you're saying that you've been doing auditing. Is it specific in the trucking industry or just something unrelated? Like what you've been doing auditing for 17 years in what
In
space?
the government space, in the government space, in the information space, in the information security space. So that's what I've been doing the last year. So not in the trucking industry, but the last 4 years I've been in the trucking industry trying to make sure that I've, kept up with different laws and regulations. But my background is government work.
Okay, awesome. And it's so interesting because you rarely meet people these days that are actually from Atlanta. So
Yes.
listen, kudos to you. We've
Okay.
come and taken over y'all city.
I love it here, and I don't think I'm going anywhere. And welcome, and welcome.
Yeah. So finish telling us, how you transitioned and decided to open the Truckers Auditor.
Okay, so I decided to get in the business by just starting with dispatching. So dispatching was supposed to be the ground work or the ground way into the trucking industry. And I still work full time. So I was not able to dispatch and work full time, my full time job. It didn't work for me. So I had to pivot because I am trying to grow my business to be a full time entrepreneur. But because I wanted to do things more on my time, I pivoted to doing IFT and IRP and setting up authorities, things that didn't take so much of my time during the day and aren't so high demand and can give me a few days to work on it. Where dispatching is very high demand. You're working during 8 to 5 normal hours, and you're constantly working to try to find the next load for your customers. So just trying to keep them moving, and that just didn't work with my current lifestyle. So I had to pivot a little bit to do things that gave me a little bit more time to work on during different times.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you got in the trucking space at the top of what year was this?
21,
So
20.
2021, um, a time where trucking and logistics was becoming, attractive to those that probably would have never been looking at trucking, especially as it relates to women in trucking, women in logistics, and you wanted to be in that space. Tell me, one, why did you decide that you definitely wanted to be in that lane?
I saw the need. I saw that there weren't many people, many people, women in particular, advertising the need for truck drivers to stay compliant and understanding the requirements of the industry and being able to translate that to a driver who's constantly moving and just making sure that they can easily understand what's expected of them.
Awesome. And but you mentioned you wanted to do dispatching as well. Is there a reason for that? Is it based off of the, how lucrative this industry is? Like what attracted you to this space?
I appreciate that question. What attracted me to the space was the need to be of service to people. So in that dispatching space, you're somebody's relying on you to help them progress their business. So just I took a liking to wanting to be a dispatcher because I saw where I could be helpful to a specific industry, or just help alleviate a headache for another group of people. So just the need to serve and the desire to serve others drove me to start dispatching to see, okay, how can I help these drivers, understand, make more money? Well, what can I do? So I figured, that dispatching, just the technique and the tactics for dispatching just didn't work with my lifestyle. So that's why I had to pivot to doing the compliance, still in more of a service capacity, but just doing it in a different form.
Now the trucking industry is a billion, multi-billion dollar industry. Um, but as you mentioned earlier, trucking has its downs, it has its highs, the lows and the highs. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, I truly experienced that in my business because when I started in the trucking industry, there were several people getting in. I probably established 100 authorities in the first year of my business, and I was like, "Okay, this is cool." But then the very next year, I probably helped 40 of those people shut down their business. So it was very up and down. And now it's going to come kind of beginning to start back up because people are calling and say, how can I get my authority back up? What can I do to get back started? So it's on its way back up. It's appearing to be.
Do we know what causes that? Is that a supply chain issue? Like what's the reason for the ups and downs? Or was the year that you did the 100 authorities, was that a year that was not unique? Is this now more so the normal of what it is now? What can we expect?
I think this is more than normal. I want to say the year that the majority of the people, or the huge surge of people, were jumping into the industry is when a lot of the loans were coming out, or people had extra money to try to invest to see how they could make another dollar. So I believe, with the additional loans and resources from the government that aided people, gave them a different opportunity to try to just do something different. And trucking is what they jumped into. Now I believe it's kind of coming back down, and it appears, but I think everything goes up and down. It appears to be that it's kind of coming back up, but a lot of that has to do with the ports. I know Savannah, we had a call about the Savannah port where they're trying to use less trucks. They're trying to put more stuff on the rails and use less trucks. So there, that movement is going to be up and down. And then you got fuel and the brokers. So when the FMCSA makes decisions about brokers, or if they make more strenuous decisions about how brokers operate, that could cause an upsurge in the trucking industry if brokers have to be more transparent with their practices, because that is a huge issue. So if they're, made to follow the rules a little bit closer, that might allow for the truck drivers to make a bit more money, and that might get them back in the industry. But there are so many things that cause it to go up and down. But I think that it appears to be coming back up now.
That's interesting. So the FMSC, can you tell everybody what that is?
FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. They are an arm of the U.S. Department of Transportation, and they help regulate the motor carriers and the passenger carriers.
So, do you have you moved in the space or operating in the space where now that you've helped people get their authorities, are you also working to make sure these truckers get, if they are minority owned, that they get, DBE certifications and that sort of thing? Is that a market that you've decided to go into? Because, you know, with the infrastructure bill that's come under, our current administration, there's such a push to get more dollars out, especially from Department of Transportation as well, that it would seem like the most plausible thing to do. Have you entered that space with your clients?
No, but I really appreciate you sharing that. And that is something that I can begin to push and promote to them. Because as you're saying, that is a certification that can get them different contracts and just different opportunities. So not as of yet, but thank you for mentioning that for me to extend to other my team. So no, I didn't even think about that, but thank you for mentioning that for me to do. And now that is on my radar.
Absolutely. So the port, Savannah has one of the busiest ports now. I know our state leadership really wanted to do their due diligence to make sure that the deepening of the port was a thing. I know with supply chain there were some issues. So you're saying now that they're finding that rail is moving things faster from the port, because I know they're planning on doing these truck lanes that'll be extending from the port up through Atlanta. So how does where did the rails play a part in that?
Well, it's called the Mason Mega Rail movement, and the presenter just mentioned that they're trying to, because of the community, move in the roads and the highways and the streets, that they're just trying to put more on the rails because of that. Um, and just trying to just put less on the trucks and on the roads. So that was just something, that was just one of the lines that I remember the presenter speaking on when they talked about that Mason Mega Rail movement.
But have you seen that directly impact your client?
I have not yet. I have not.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I know they're gonna always be trying to find alternative ways, but with them dedicating lanes that'll be coming directly from the port, I would be interested to see what type of impact that would make. More importantly, I'm assuming that because of the port, do they have to have their TWIC card? And
Or
those who
they
what
do.
TWIC card is, can you talk about what that TWIC card is and the access that it provides?
The trick card is it's just some similar, and you can at times use it for a TSA, some type of security to get on and off the port. So it's just an additional clearance level to allow you to get onto the port.
So is that something you work with your clients on? Because as they build these authorities, are they looking at strategies to make sure that they actually can be successful?
That is another item that too not many people ask about because I get a lot of the small carriers that are just kind of doing local and haven't gotten to that level where they're ready to add on and expand their fleet to start doing those things. But again, that is a service that I can promote more to encourage that type of activity. So I can do my part in helping the truck drivers think larger. So thank you for that.
Um,
No, no, no.
so Laura, tell us a little bit about you. So do you have a family? Talk a little bit about who Laura is. Who is the woman behind
So,
Trucker's Auditor?
sure, sure, sure. Thank you for asking. So I am about to be a 45-year-old single woman. I have five children. I've been in Atlanta, Georgia my entire life. I have a master's degree in accounting. I enjoy fishing and cooking and hanging out with my children and playing board games and horseback riding and worms. And I have a raised garden bed. I have two extra large American bulldogs that are about 90 pounds each that are inside dogs.
Wow.
Um, I'm a baseball mom. I'm a soccer mom. I enjoy being outside. I love nature. I can listen to the birds and listen to music. I love music and nature. So just a little bit about me.
Okay. So five children. Now, what are the age ranges?
They range from 26 to 9. They're all about 4 years apart. Each kid is four
Wait
years
a minute.
apart
You
from the
went from
next
the
one.
nine, you went from a 26-year-old
Mhm.
to
And
a
they're all in between. So
zero.
26, 22, 18, 14, and then 9.
Wow. How are you doing this as a single woman?
God, I just like to stay busy. My dad always said you can sleep when you die. So I'm always doing something. I'm always reading or trying to read something to highlight something, or I've got some plants or growing some starter seeds or walking the dog. So just trying to stay busy and prayed up. That's it. I just
No, no, really. How are you managing the kids with because do you have hired help? I mean, are you doing this all yourself? Or do you have the older kids help you? How are you managing it?
Okay, so truthfully, only two or three are home. My older one is gone. She doesn't live here. I have grandchildren. I have two grandchildren, three grandchildren. I'm sorry. They are a kindergarten, a first grader, and a 3-year-old. So I have three grandchildren. So my older two, one lives with me and one is, she's about to go. So my older two are kind of self-maintained. My third oldest daughter, she's in college at Andrew College. So I go to her soccer game. So she's trying to, do her own thing. And so I'm truly left with just the two. And this daughter, my daughter, she does hair and nails and plays the cello and the piano. So her activities, don't require as much traveling. And my son with the baseball, it's easy kind of keep him around because he's local. So it's not as hectic as it used to be.
So I still haven't heard that you have help. So you're doing it by yourself, literally. Wow. Well, kudos to you. Let me ask you this. So, this is women wealth and entrepreneurship. So we talked about the entrepreneurship. We talked about you as a woman. Now, because you're in a unique situation where you're raising your children ultimately by yourself, I'm assuming you have to put extra things in place to make sure that if something happens to you, your kids, your legacy lives on. Talk a little bit about how you're maintaining that and what you've done to put in place to make sure as you raise these children and run a business and work and maintain this household that you're making sure that everything is operational if something was to happen and how you're building your legacy.
Okay, well, thank you for asking. So, when I started my job 17 years ago, because I've been there for 17 years now, I signed up for all of those services that they told me I should, and I did. So as far as life insurance and retirement and all of those things, they're in place. And I'm vested in my job now. So if I were to stop working or if I were something were to happen, I've got the accidental life insurance. So I've got things in place that will definitely take care of the children if I were to ever not be able to. So I was very wise. I've got additional life insurance policies and things like that to make sure that they're, of course, financially taken care of in case I have to ever step out. My business, that's not so much in the same state. I need to do, I know the retirement planning for my business, that aspect of it. So right now it's just me. So I do a lot of planning. I make sure my calendar stays, very up to date. I plan ahead quite a bit. So just maintaining a calendar and making sure that um everything is taken care of. That's about I love my job. I don't take anything from me earning my degree and being a state employee for the last 17 years because it's given me the business ethics to move how I move in my business to build my business.
Absolutely. So when we start talking about building a legacy, do you have any of the kids that maybe want to take, part of your business? Have you started to introduce them to, hey, this is what I'm doing, and maybe this is something that you want to be a part of so that your legacy can continue? What does that look like? And
Okay.
I'm glad you also brought up your insurance products. So, we always say, when you are building wealth and legacy, that you don't want to be in a position where you're having your offspring or the people that are coming behind you basically having to start from the beginning. It's almost like the baton should be passed. So, kudos to you for making sure that you have those certain things in place, and also adding to that. Start talking about, the additional, have you brought in the kids to talk about the business?
I have gradually started to show them things. I do use Loom and Loom. I'm not sure that's this tool someone shared with me where I record a lot of my processes so they are on video of how I do things. So I have not introduced all of the aspects of the business to the children, but they know how to do some things.
All right, awesome. So what advice do you have for women who are getting into the industry that you're in? Because I'm assuming that with the trucking industry, would you say 90% of your clients are men, or is it, what does that look like?
Definitely. Definitely. So anybody starting, so yes, 90% are men, but anybody looking to provide the services that I provide, I will look that you educate yourself, read and make sure that you understand how to pronounce the FMCSA, understand where to go for information and understand what you need to do before you begin promoting your service. So just educate yourself as best as you can because this is very serious to the truck drivers and then they're putting their money and their investment into this. So the IFT and the IRP, those processes are complex and unique. So you want to make sure that you understand those so you're not causing the drivers any extra time delays to get their tags and get their stickers. So just making sure you educate yourself before you jump into it and provide the service.
And if you are setting up an authority, what does that authority allow you to operate within the state of Georgia?
So the authority that I can help with is the DOT number. It gives you the authority to work within your state, your base jurisdiction is what they call it. And then the next level of that is your motor carrier, your MC number, and that gives you the ability to cross state lines. So those are the two main numbers that you'll need in the trucking industry. Different states like California and Texas require additional numbers on top of those. But again, just being knowledgeable about your state requirements is also very helpful.
And so can you just talk a little bit just briefly about what does that look like when you're talking about what type of actual vehicles need that? So is that trucks? Is that vans? Like, what is that? What does that require? Is it all of the above?
No. So if you're over 26,000 pounds and you have three or more axles, that's when you need IFTA and IRP. In a lot of states, there's a big movement to combine the IFTA and the IRP process. Some states have separate systems that do separate things, but the overall arching IFTA and IRP authorities have issued new requirements. So some states are joining those processes together, and you can't do one without the other. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, no, that's really good. Because for those that are looking to get in a space and just say, hey, I want to put my, hat in the transportation ring. What does that look like? What are some good areas, especially if you're brand new to this space and you just want to have something? Do you have a recommendation on something that a space that you can get in? Because I know dispatching, you said, requires a lot of your time. So what is something that you can do for those who just want to add something else to their portfolio?
So you've got dispatching, you can do the authority setups, you can do compliance, you can do permits, you can do special permits where you're getting people permits to go state to state. You can do overweight permits. There's a big move towards having your own drug and alcohol and DNA testing center or service. So you can do that as well. You can even do an escort service. The overweight and overload trucks need escorts. So they have opportunities for people to escort trucks. Factoring, you can get into, a factoring partner, open up a factoring company, of fuel cards. People always need fuel cards. You can help with the insurance aspect. If you're an insurance specialist, you can sell your insurance products to truck drivers, or you can add that as a service that you do for the drivers. You can partner with ELD providers and get referral bonuses for sending drivers because they need an ELD. So you send them to the people that provide the ELD.
Laura, let me stop you right here, girl, because you need to go on and just write you a little ebook. If you haven't done that, because I'm telling you, I think that's really good. So, people are always trying to figure out, hey, I just want to be in this space. So some people say, I just want to, start a service because, they see that the airports are overloaded, and this may not be 100% in your field because you're dealing with trucks that are 26,000 and weight and over. But people who, this is Atlanta, nobody likes to drive. They want to hire drivers. They want to establish a company that requires that they can pick up from the airport and all that sort of stuff. So they just want to be in the logistics in trucking, or not even trucking, but logistics space. Right. But you've just rattled off a whole host of things. Mm-hmm. That if somebody who is interested in getting in the logistics space, that there is so much available that you can do. Have you put that together in an ebook? I know I'm just giving you all kind of ideas. Ask for 10%, honey.
I have not. I have not. I have not. I've not, but thank you for the offer. I had a small ebook, but no, I just kind of run out of hours at the end of the day, truly because of the children and working until I'm able to transition to the next stage of the business. I just kind of run out of time. And so no, I haven't, but I am truly committed to slowly building my business. It's been 4 years and it's just been a steady, slow growth. And it's been, wonderful. I gain more and more clients each year, and I have, some clients that I've been serving since I started, and I just look forward to the experience.
So what I'm hearing also is you are a solopreneur.
That is correct.
So you've not built a team. What does that look like for you? Because really, statistics show that we don't have a whole lot of time. because we're trying to manage, and especially, you're managing what you're doing on your personal front. What is your goal to try to put a team together so that you can eventually expand?
So I do. I'm going to take that back. I do have two virtual assistants. So I'm going to totally retract that statement. I have two. I have one that does my posting. I give her a content calendar for the month, and that's how I post every day because my virtual assistant makes sure she schedules posts. So that kind of gives me that visibility of that daily instant, not instant, but that consistency on posting. So
Yeah,
I write a monthly calendar and she creates this content and she posts that for me. So that saves me a lot of time. I used to do all of that. And then I have another virtual assistant who works on outreach and gathering leads for me. So she gathers leads for me and she makes labels for me, and all I have to do is put the label on the envelope and send it out. So I'm beginning to get products and services that are helping me streamline. There's another product that I'm going to use. It's called like Pinnacle AI, and it's an AI system that allows all of your social media and everything to be in just one place. So I'm looking at that to help streamline because it does like auto texting and auto emails and just has your sales funnels and things like that. So I am working to get to that space where I do have a team and I do have automated processes, but I didn't want people to feel like it's so automated because I've reached out to people and that automated stuff just doesn't feel right sometimes. So I was a little hesitant to start that automated response stuff just because I want people to know that they're talking to a person. So that's coming, but I just feel like just me reaching out just a little bit more personal for the business that I have to handle. If I were selling a product or doing something a little more different, maybe some of the automation would be okay. And it still is going to be, but for right now, I think the more personal touch helps with the services that I provide.
absolutely. Well, I have my own thought about automation. I truly believe that we as smaller businesses have to leverage AI in a way that helps us work more efficiently. So I am an AI proponent. I love it. um and anything that helps us work more efficiently is amazing. um and I'm so glad that you mentioned that you have assistants, and even virtual assistants, because not everybody requires you to physically be there. Talk about what that looked like and how you decided to go about even utilizing a virtual assistant, and what is your recommendation to other entrepreneurs, especially women?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. So this virtual assistant space, I got the idea from a girl that I work with who's very business minded. Her name is Akira Barlow, and she sent me this list of virtual assistants. So she said, "Here, hey friend, here's a list of virtual assistants." So what I did is I emailed the entire list of virtual assistants and say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm willing to pay. This is, I put the specifics in an email." Of course, about I emailed maybe 100, 50 of them responded back. I only reached out to the ones that followed up about 4 or 5 times. So those 4 or 5 that were diligent about following up, I reached back out to them and I had an in-person Zoom meeting like we're doing now. And I, explained the task that I was looking for. I asked them for work or, samples. And I've had them for about 2 or 3 years now, and they just do things on demand. So I think I don't know what your question was, but I
What's your
interviewed them.
recommendation for other women in
Oh,
considering?
oh,
Yeah,
reaching out. I have a list that I can share with you. Reach out, offer them what you're willing to pay, set a budget and say, okay, this is what I'm willing to pay, and this is how often I'm willing to pay you, and ask them for references or work referrals. But yeah, that's how I got the virtual assistants, just by sending an email and holding interviews, and they worked out.
now are they in country? Because I know a lot of some of our companies that probably I guess they're still considered small business because they're less than 500 employees. Um, they use a lot of assistants that are overseas. Was it a requirement for you to make sure you had someone in, in country, or is this person even in, are they?
Oh, both of mine are in the Philippines, and no, there was not a requirement. I just needed you to be able to speak with me clearly, and be available when I can ping you. So no, and they both have gotten a lot better with their English, and they work very well with me.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that. So, I didn't want to ask, I did want to ask because I did, but that's what I'm hearing is those who have been able to use, the assistants that are out of the country have been able to really be really successful with those particular individuals. Was there a barrier in making sure they understood what you needed and vice versa?
In the beginning, there may have been some, how do you, what do you mean? Or, what exactly are you looking for that needed additional clarification? But for the most part, we would do some Zoom. We did a lot of Zoom in the beginning where we would, sharing screens and show me this, and this is how you do this. And it worked out.
And let me ask you this. So when it comes to pay, the pay is way different than what we would have to pay someone in the United States. You don't have to share exactly what you're paying, but can you just talk about what that difference would be?
So yes, our pay scale, our dollars are different. Of course, I can send, for example, if I were to send them $25 a week, that's $1,400 to them a week. So I know what they are willing to accept, which they're willing to accept most of the time about $3 or $4. That's just common for the rate. So, you can offer more for ones who have more expertise, but just the minimum rate for most overseas is $3 to $4 versus paying someone in the United States, you're going to pay them at least $8 or $9 um, to do virtual assistant
That's
work,
on
if
the
not
low
more.
end.
If not more, I should say, if not more,
Right.
if not more, if not more.
Absolutely. Just love this. So, I'm so glad that you were able to come on and speak with our audience. And as we start talking about building, so I've given you a couple ideas.
Very much so you have. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And more importantly, as you continue to build out your team, you're not just using people that are in the United States. And I'm okay with that. Some of our politicians might be like, oh, hold on now, you got to hire locally. But, I think you have to balance that out with, being able to, eventually maybe hire locally when you've gotten to a space where you've grown the business, maybe you're going into a brick and mortar or whatever.
Office.
But to be able to hire outside of the country, because what most people don't realize, I know a really, really, really successful transportation company, and 90% of their folks are not even in this country. What they have, and what they use, for their drivers are local. But everyone else behind the scene, in the background, they're not here in this country at all. And so, talking about that, I think is very important, because you have to be able to utilize what you have to grow your company the way you need to grow your company to get it to the place where it does become, the success that you see. So I would also, just encourage you to use AI. Because I promise you, a lot of stuff that you think you might not have the time to do, AI can do for you. Or even, seeing, what your virtual assistants can do in that space. Even that ebook that I mentioned, you'll be surprised what tools are available to assist in getting something done like that within less than a day, literally. So again, I do appreciate you coming on. And just, what would you say that you're building and leaving as your legacy now? Um, yeah, what would you say?
Oh, then I hit my thing. Sometimes my microphone goes out when I would say that I'm building now. I'm showing now as an example to my children that not only can you go to college and get a degree and find a job that, you can work on and have a nice life on, you can also start your own business either right out of school, after a degree. It doesn't matter when you start your business. If you have a sound business idea, it can be successful. Just showing them that there are different ways to make money. So yes, I did go to college and I too am being successful in this entrepreneur space, but you got to have a sound business idea if you're going to do something that's going to support you and your lifestyle. So that is what I offer to them.
Awesome. And what else do we need to know about Miss Laura Weston? Let's
That's it. So I love helping people. I love working with integrity. So that is one of the highest things on my list is that I work with integrity. You can count on me. You can give me your credit card number, your driver's license, your social security number, and feel safe that it's not going to leave here or be misused. And in the IFT IRP processes, that's all that's involved with, EINs and social security numbers and driver's license. So people trust me to give me that information, and I appreciate that. So I look forward to just being of service to help you move your business or help people move their businesses to the next level.
Awesome. And how do we find you?
Thank you so much for asking. I am the Truckers Auditor on all social media, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Twitter, and I can be reached via email at info@thetruckersauditor.com, or my phone number is 855-275-5908, and you can call or text that number.
All right. Thank you, Laura, for joining us today on Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship. It has absolutely been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Again, this has been another episode of Women, Wealth, and Entrepreneurship with Ariel Shaw, MBA. Thank you for joining us. And if you have not, download our new theme song, Women in Business theme song by Miss Lacey. You've heard it here, and we are so excited that you've joined us. Thank you and have an amazing day.